could be a long time before we actually make a call in that race.
So with those first closings under our belt tonight, let's break it all down with our panel. Chris Wallace, Britt Hume, Katie Pavlich, Karl Rove, and Donna Brazile. Welcome back to all of you. Karl, let's bounce out to you with a look at some of what you see here in the early going at 7 o'clock. Not any big surprises at that point.
No, and not really much data either. You're right about Georgia. Georgia is going to be an interesting case to watch because it is absolutely certain that we're going to have one runoff, the Kelly Loeffler Warnock Collins race, because you have to have 50% of the vote, and there are 13 candidates on that ballot, whereas there are only 3 in the race involving incumbent David Perdue. And you're also right about the South Carolina race, a lot of money, and illustrative of a big strength the Democrats have shown in this election, and that is their ecosystem for small dollar fundraising that they began 16 years ago and called Act Blue. Harrison, who is the former Democratic State Party chairman, has raised over $50 million in the third quarter and running against the chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee. So money doesn't always result in determine the outcome in a race. Both of these men have sufficient enough money to spend, but the idea of having over $50 million in a state with 3 million people and probably 2 to 2.5 million voters, pretty strong set of numbers that Republicans are facing in every single Senate race. There's not a single competitive race in which a Republican senator or a Senate candidate is outraised his opponent.
Well, it only took a few seconds, but the Fox News decision desk can now project President Trump will defeat former Vice President Joe Biden in the state of Kentucky. Not a surprise there. But the Senate Majority Leader, Mitch McConnell, is up for election there. He was leading going into today. We'll see where that race heads in Kentucky as far as the Senate Majority Leader's fate. Donna, your look at tonight, what you're looking for early here as we start to get the actual vote tabulations coming in.
Well, I was sitting here telling Karl about Virginia, and I say Arlington, Prince Williams, Loudoun, and a couple of counties would be coming in early, and of course they've already called it. But now Georgia, Trump carried Georgia by 5 percentage points in 2016, and the last time, as you all know, that the Democrats carried this wonderful state was in 1992. But there's been an increase in younger voters, non-white educated voters, and I think the key tonight is looking at the suburban vote. And if suburban women continue to turn out in large numbers in favor of the Democrats, Georgia is going to be an interesting state to watch once all of the votes are tabulated.
Katie Pavlich, let's go over to you. Your thoughts as we get these first tallies in, and we've got Kentucky in now. We're looking at about 26 minutes away from the next round.
I think going forward tonight, looking at ticket splitting will be interesting. In Arizona, Martha McSally has been down, but President Trump has gained in that state. In Georgia, the state that you just called, or did not just call, excuse me, but we're discussing right now. David Perdue, Senator Perdue, skipped the last debate with his opponent, Jon Ossoff, to campaign with and for President Donald Trump. He is depending on President Trump to carry Georgia to get him over the finish line. In Michigan, it's interesting because they're counting on every last vote with the ground game there for the Trump campaign. The Michigan Secretary of State has said that 100,000 of the absentee early voting mail-in votes have been counted. There's 170,000 to go in Detroit. They also registered 18,000 new voters today, and those voters cast their votes in Democratic strongholds like Detroit, Ann Arbor, and another place in Michigan. And so interesting to look at that number for the president as he tries to take back Michigan as he won in 2016. But in terms of Georgia and other states like it, those Republican senator incumbents are really depending on the president to pull them over the finish line.
Karl, it's very early in the night, but what we're looking at is our voter analysis survey, and as these raw vote totals come in, these numbers from these states. But can we, looking at what we see now, say that this is likely not a landslide either way?
Well, I'm not certain that we can deduce that from the polling we've had and the election returns thus far, but I suspect that's exactly going to be the case. Both sides have been revved up. You generally have a blowout when there's one side that's revved up and another side that has become dispirited, either because of internal divisions or simply a lousy candidate. We've had 2 campaigns here that have focused on revving up their bases, and so I think it'll be a big, huge turnout, and I think it will be relatively closer than I think either side thinks. You're at the moment in a campaign now where if you think you're going to win, you think you're going to win strong. And I know that's the attitude.
Are you working the refs? Are you working the reporters at this point? What's happening? If you're in the campaign, are you working the reporters saying, this is what we're seeing? I mean,
First of all, you're getting 1,000 phone calls and emails and text messages from people saying, what do you think? What do you think? How do you think it's going to turn out? And it drives you absolutely insane. and then you're sitting in some little room somewhere trying to absorb all of this data, all this information. I remember one particular night when a guy kept walking around the room with a cigar, and his father said, "Don't worry, son, it'll be all right." And I was in the presence of 2 presidents of the United States. So at one point in 2004, I ran out of assistants. I had 2 great assistants, Israel Hernandez and Susan Ralston, and I had them busy doing weird things. So I looked around the room and said, who could I bring over here and have help me, because I had a computer that showed all the target percentages or all the ballots, what we were getting. But I needed somebody, when I would bark out the name of a county, to tell me how many votes we needed as our vote goal for that county. And I looked around the room. No, I wasn't going to be 41. It wasn't going to be Barbara Bush. I said, Condi, get over here. And Condi Rice sat next to me for the next hour and a half or 2 o'clock until about 2 o'clock in the morning, as I barked out, Lucerne County, Pennsylvania, Hamilton County, Ohio. And I had a very talented assistant who went on to greater things in life as Secretary of the State.
now he just barks. Now he just barks for whiteboards.
Exactly,
He needs more
yeah.
whiteboards.
So, Chris Wallace, one of the issues that we talk about a lot in campaigns is likability. And one of the comparisons that we see some of in this Fox News voter analysis is the difference between Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden on this issue. And, it was fascinating in 2016. Voters didn't really love Hillary Clinton or President Trump. So they had to decide between two characters that they weren't all that excited about. It's a little bit different this time around.
Absolutely. We in the poll, Honest and Trustworthy in 2016, the final poll, Donald Trump 37%, not very good. Hillary Clinton 33%, even worse. This time, Donald Trump still stuck at 37% on Honest and Trustworthy, but Biden is up over 50%. And when it comes to being liked, he is liked by a majority of Americans. The president is still underwater in that regard. Now, look, it's a tough job. And in fact, it's interesting. Trump's campaign ads talked about the fact, look, he's a tough guy, but you need a tough guy to be president. So they've tried to make a virtue of that. I just want to, before we pass on, and we will, talk a little bit about Virginia. I find it astonishing that Virginia has become such a blue state. Because the fact is, I was looking back, this is a wonderful machine. I know it was slow to get to it, but I did. Between 1964 and 2004, that's 40 years, Virginia went Republican every time. The last time that it went for a Democrat was Lyndon Johnson, and then Bush 43 in 2004. And since then, it has gone for the Democrat every time, and more and more and more. And so a state that was red became purple, and now has become deep blue. And this, these are the demographic changes you're seeing in parts of the country, that a state like Virginia now, neither candidate even went to it. It was off the board.
Trump went there once.
Okay.
But you're right.
It wasn't competitive.
No.
And it used to be a real, first of all, it was a solid red state. And then for a while it was a swing state. Now it's as blue as New York or Connecticut or one of those states.
Britt, quickly, the national popular vote, we just looked at that screen. It's very possible that, again, like Hillary Clinton did, Joe Biden could win the national popular vote, but President Trump figures out a way to win the Electoral College and piecing together these battleground states to 270.
And that's the very scenario for which stores are boarded up all over the place, because there's a widespread belief among certain partisans in this country that the Electoral College is a relic of a bygone time, that it's anti-democratic and improper and should be abolished, because it permits that the person who gets the most votes should win the election regardless. Of course, we are not simply a pure democracy. We are a constitutional republic, which accounts for the fact that we give the weight to the states, and we don't have, the truth of the matter is that the popular vote is a stat. It's not how you keep score in this contest. You keep score by electoral votes, and those are done state by state. That's how it's always been.
for life. Watchmen. It's one time for a lifetime.
Brush aside the doubters, the naysayers, the noise. Oh. And lint. You're not ready for gray, so brush.
coming out strong for Biden.
Ready to grow your online sales? Google Shopping ads. Now account for 76.4% of retail search ad spend in the U.S. That's why Ecwid e-commerce's new, fully automated Google advertising solution is designed to get your product picks to the top of Google search fast, making it easy for new customers and prospects to find your products on the world's most powerful search engine. Ecwid is the only e-commerce platform with a fully automated Google Shopping advertising solution. The process is simple. Sign up for any of Ecwid's paid plans, then choose your target audience. Choose the products you want to advertise, then launch your campaign. Through artificial intelligence, Ecwid automatically optimizes your Google Shopping advertising. You just sit back and track the results in your Ecwid store dashboard. That's it. And for a limited time, Ecwid is offering participating merchants a $150 credit to advertise on Google. Just spend $150 within 31 days and